What's poppin' people, with your boy Zero, aka Black Natsuki Subaru, and we are here with another chapter reading of ReZero Arc 9, specifically chapter 36, Problem. Now, the art that was in the front showcased Reinhardt being choked up by invisible hands, so I'm like, I know Reinhardt didn't lose. Reinhardt has not lost. Come on now. They're trolling. So, without further ado, we're gonna jump into this chapter. We are already one passage in, so don't forget to leave a like if you guys enjoy it. Share this with all your homies. Share it with your favorite ReZero community that you're in. Blah blah blah. You know, just so the boys can see someone who's doing some live readings, and it's fun. It's very raw. Like last episode, what the fuck? Last episode was a bit emotional, as you guys remember. You know, I mean, by the time you guys see this, like, yeah, but yeah, pretty freaking emotional. It was hard for me to get through a lot of it, like towards the end, but I had a little bit of a snack before this. Got my whole thing of cold ice water. You know how this goes. I am bricked up. You are also bricked up. Let us be bricked up in unison as we read ReZero Arc 9, Chapter 36. Bruh. Oh. Tease? Petra managed to compose herself and admonish Ram, causing Amelia and Rem to widen their eyes. Oh, I forgot what had happened right before. Okay, yeah, the teasing thing. Who had deceived the two innocent girls? Ceased her fake crying, shrugged her shoulders, and said, well, now that memories have been restored, it's natural to want to see all of Rem's different expressions. So there was some teasing involved. Will you forgive such a mean older sister? Nei-sama, well, it seems it can't be helped. Just this once, okay? Yes, thank you. Are you okay with that, Amelia-sama? Rem forgave you, so I can't stay angry forever. Good grief. Amazing! Instead of showing any humility, all you did was act cute and you got away with it. Wait, is she talking about Ram? Ram. Despite showing not a single shred of remorse, Rem and Amelia easily forgave Ram's overbearing behavior, while Meili watched in astonishment and muttered in disbelief. Petra agreed with Meili's disbelief. This was typical of Ram, but she was getting a little too carried away. I would like to hold a victory party for Rem. Nei-sama. But this is a very difficult time. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, okay. So like, I'm sure that they know by now what the fuck's going on. Okay. So could you please refrain from doing so, Nei-sama? Self-restraint, you say? That sounds reasonable at first. But what about you, Petra? What do you mean? I've been reflecting on what happened earlier as well. Not that you should feel bad about getting all worked up. It's just something else that has been concerning. Ever since a little while ago, it seems you have naturally positioned yourself between Rem and Amelia-sama. I forgot that would be a thing. That's hilarious. Ram pointed this out with one eye closed, and Petra widened her eyes with a, huh? Then she looked to her left and right, and saw the profiles of Amelia and Rem beside her. The three of them were now sitting side by side on a long sofa, with Petra in the middle. Petra had her arms firmly wrapped around the two of them, as if she never wanted to let go. Huh? Don't just us. After you hugged Rem-san, you very naturally pulled her along with you. Even Amelia-san was pulled along too. Sorry, it seems like my love for both of you overflowed. Dude, oh my god, this is so like, oh god. Cause what Okay, I'm gonna finish reading this segment. I've been gushing way too much. Petra reflected on her actions in light of Mei Li's continued exasperation. However, her excuse was precisely the same as Ram's earlier, causing Ram to let out a "Ha." It's okay. There's no need to worry, Petra-san. Ram also wants to fill in the gaps of her memories piece by piece. Rem-ne-sama. Besides, Rem didn't think Petra-san and the others in the village got along with her very well. So it's a pleasant surprise to find that they cared so much. So, what I was gonna say is, what people don't tend to understand is that after Rem and Subaru had their big moment in Arc 3, Subaru never got to be around Emilia after he was gung-ho for Rem. So we never got to see that, because as soon as Rem got back, she was fucking asleep. And so since Emilia forgot about Rem, none of her memories, like none of the shit that Subaru was saying in regards to Rem made any sense. And so when he was trying to say like, oh yeah, Rem loves me the same way that I say that I love you, it didn't really make any sense. Plus, like, this was before Emilia and Subaru's relationship had, you know, gotten much better. So what is crazy is that now that they both understand like the depth of the love that Subaru has for both of them, and Subaru's not here, this is literally how he would be. And I'm gonna say this right now, I don't care what anybody says about like, oh, if they didn't like Rem before, if they didn't like Arc 7 Rem, Arc 8 Rem, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I do not care. I love Rem. I love Rem. We can talk about it. But for people who say like, oh, I don't like this character, I don't like that character, okay, give me a fucking reason why in the comments. And then I'll read and then see what's up. But like, just for people to say like, oh yeah, I just don't like a character, it's just so like wasteful. Because in the last couple readings, I was seeing like a lot of that shit in the comments, like not for like my videos necessarily. I mean, there was one comment, but like for these, the web novels, like on the page, I'm like, dude, who the fuck cares if you don't like a character? Fuck you. Just trying to bait. But anyway, ramble rants aside. Let's see. All right, let's see. With Petra's arm wrapped around her, Rem blushed slightly and gave a shy smile. From Rem's perspective, her relationship with Petra and the others was at its peak around the time the royal selection began. During the month when Subaru was taken in at the mansion. Before that, they had been merely passing acquaintances at best. That was why Rem's perception was not wrong. The reason Petra held such strong feelings for Rem was not so much because of her own emotions, but because of the extent of Subaru's influence. However, despite that, she still felt them. Rem-ne-sama? Smiling and looking shy. How precious. Petra-chan, your ears are really red. Are you okay? Oh my god, yes. Oh. That's not true. This isn't two timing. Emilia-ne-sama's the... That is fucking hilarious. That is hilarious. Emilia-ne-sama is number one. Huh? That's right. I'm the most important person in the camp, so I have to do my duties properly. Petra, torn between her impatience and happiness, blurted out something she should not have said. But Emilia, like the angel or goddess that she was, or perhaps because it simply went over her head, reacted to it like a dense protagonist. With that in mind, Petra suppressed her racing heartbeat and stood up, telling herself, Subaru is my number one. If she remained sandwiched between Emilia and Rem, her heart would surely be pulled apart. That's crazy work. Way to go, Petra! You hung in there! Subaru, you better be ready to give... You better be ready for me to give you a piece of my mind later, you two-timer. That's fucking crazy work. Dude, I love this. That's not fair! I can't even touch Emilia-tan or Rem! Petra managed to cut off her lingering sentimentality and directed her pent-up anger toward the imaginary Subaru. Holding a handkerchief to stifle her tears, She sighed as she watched Subaru dance around the reception room, exploding with emotions towards Rem, whose memories had returned. Dude, this is making me fucking gush, bro. This is making me gush, man. That was a win.
Rem knows that she's causing quite a disturbance, but it would be helpful if we could calm down for now. Let's talk about that person.
Rem's voice caused the air in the room to become noticeably tense. Although it had not completely relaxed, the atmosphere had started to warm up despite the urgency of the current situation. Yet, Rem herself wiped that away. That was very admirable and impressive.
Rem, and Klein-san already explained everything to you? More or less. Besides, we also saw the devastation in the royal capital. Who would have thought it would come to this? Barasu really messed up. Remne-sama, that's quite a way of putting it. Sorry, let's rephrase that. Everyone, including Ram, really messed up.
Ram's assessment weighed heavily and resonated deeply with everyone. As previously confirmed before Ram and Rem had rejoined them, the severity of Al's actions was beyond one's ability to bear.
That being said, there's nothing to be gained from blaming ourselves excessively. Ultimately, the responsibility for what happened ought to lie with the person who caused it. That's what we've concluded. That's how Ram and the others feel, no doubt. But things aren't that simple, wouldn't you agree? You're quite an impressive girl. What was all that fooling around earlier?
Oh, that was wrong. With that, Ramji stroked his bald head and gave Ram a stern look. Seeing the understanding between the two, Rem tilted her head and said, "Ne-sama?
When you say things aren't that simple, are you talking about where the responsibility lies?" Yes, that's right. Ram-sama wants to discuss the details. Please go ahead.
Throwing us a load of trouble. Well, fine. As the girl said, regardless of our resolve, the current situation ain't good for us. Or for all of y'all. All of ya. Ramji, who had been entrusted with explaining the situation by Ram, pointed at himself and Amelia with his thick fingers. Staring at his large fingertips, Amelia blinked her amethyst eyes and...
That's true for us, but... Ramji, what about you, the others, and Velchan?
Ezo was also at the tower. He was given the task of managing the tower until an official investigation team could be dispatched by the kingdom, but he was unable to fulfill his duty. Even Reinhardt wasn't able to stop the helmet bastard nor the divine dragon, and damage was caused to the capital.
But thanks to Amelia, One-san, no big rocks fell on the city, right? So why are we still being scolded?
If you could gain popularity just by smashing stones thrown at you, then Reinhardt could just keep doing that forever. Melee, it's not just the results that need to be judged fairly, but the process as well. Melee pouted at Ramji, who shook his big head slowly with a serious expression. Hidden beneath Melee's dissatisfied attitude lay her frustrations that Amelia's critical role was not being properly appreciated. Realizing this, Amelia smiled at Melee and said,
"Thank you,"
causing the pouting girl to turn away even further. At the bare minimum, we gotta talk about what we absolutely must do. First, we gotta stop that helmet bastard, the man who calls himself Aldebaran, with our own hands. We can't leave it to anyone else or the kingdom. We can only talk about recouping our losses after we've done that.
Why does it have to be us? Of course, it would be natural for us to try our best, but if Al is stopped before he does something terrible...
Amelia, you don't understand. It's no longer just about Aldebaran. He's got the divine dragon on his side. This is a serious matter that could shake the foundation of the royal selection. The only way to reverse that is for the dragon priestess, or royal candidate, to recall the divine dragon. If that can't be done,
Would that mean the royal selection itself would be null and void?
Amelia spoke of a definitive possibility, and Ramji drew back his chin with a serious expression. Upon hearing this, Petra belatedly comprehended the gravity of the situation. In the first place, the royal selection to determine the next monarch of the kingdom of Lagunica was based upon the prophecy of the dragon history stone that was necessary in order to maintain the covenant with the dragon. Long ass sentence. In other words, it was a ceremony which relied upon the mighty power of the divine dragon Volcanica, and without the divine dragon, the royal selection would not be viable. For that reason, we must. The only solution is to stop Aldebaran, the one who's bewitched the divine dragon by the hands of a royal candidate. This was a fundamental prerequisite for settling this crucial situation, and for the continuation of the royal selection. The words of the old giant, the wise man from the Felt Camp, who had long seen the world, possessed conviction which none could refute. Yeah. The destruction of the world by Al's hand must be averted. However, that did not mean that so long as the world was spread, nothing else mattered. Spared. God. After the battle ended, there was a matter of,
we need to ensure there's a proper place for Subaru-kun's return.
I love Rem. I love Rem. I love Rem. Hold on. Can't get my body pillow because it's inappropriate for YouTube. She's gonna sit right here on my lap. Well, this is great. This is absolutely great. So,
Rem.
After listening to Ramji's words, Amelia looked at Rem as she muttered so. Rem met her gaze, her pale blue eyes filled with resolve, responding with,
That's how it should be, is it not? That person, he did the same for me. Rem's room in the mansion remained exactly as it was before.
Because, oh, damn it. This is gonna get me.
Because Subaru-kun thought so highly of her. Rem was able to remember the things she had forgotten. It's all thanks to the morning star that Subaru-kun polished every day.
Damn, dude. Indeed, Rem emphasized that forcibly, with an iron ball attached to a chain in her hands, the morning star. Overwhelmed by the chain's rousing resonation with Rem's vigor, Amelia tilted her head.
Thanks to the morning star? Yes. It may surprise you, but it was in the moment upon touching the morning star. Every memory up to that point came flooding back. Thinking that it was all just that person's obsession was a misunderstanding. There are so many things to apologize for.
Lowering her eyes as if ashamed of herself, Rem recounted how her memories had returned to her. Troubled by Rem's impassioned plea, a wide-eyed Amelia waved her hands about. Perhaps it was a matter of timing. That which Gluttony, whom Al had released from the prison tower, had done was likely related to the rebirth of Rem's memories and name. And that had happened at the same time Rem had touched the morning star in the mansion. That was why Rem was convinced that the morning star had awakened her.
You know, Rem, can you calm yourself for the moment to listen? Rest assured, Amelia-sama. With this morning star, Rem will surely be of help in getting Subaru-kun back. After that is done, let us discuss what happened in the Empire and the future.
Amelia continued to look troubled as Rem clenched her fist with an attitude of determination. Next to her, Meili looked at Rem and asked,
Aren't you going to stop her?
To which she replied,
It can't be helped. This is something Rem didn't expect either. Who would have thought that Barsu's ridiculous ramblings about polishing it every day would actually prove useful? It's really bad that I'm the one with the most common sense here.
Meili lamented the situation, in which even Ram had placed too much faith in the power of the Morning Star. That was a dope-ass moment, man. That was a dope-ass moment. In any case, it was necessary to share everything they knew concerning gluttony with Rem and the others, including their speculations. Petra decided to leave that to Amelia, and turned back to Ramji, keeping the dreamlike interplay between Amelia and Rem in the corner of her eye. And then,
Klein Nisama still hasn't returned with the master and the others.
Fucking flies, bro. I don't know what it is. I don't have anything in my room that's... I don't know. I'll probably get like a fly trap or some shit. Where am I? Oh.
But we don't have much time. We'll be cooperating with Ram Oji-san, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's our consensus that the royal selection's gotta continue.
Then, please, tell us all about it. Ram Oji-san, what have you noticed about Ao-san?
Ramji had joined up with them in the plains and had accompanied them as they rushed to the royal capital. For the sake of Klein's compression, he had opted to act separately from Tonchinkan and the rest. But he had been laying the groundwork for fighting alongside Amelia and the others, saying that he had critical information concerning Ao that he had obtained during their previous clash. From the discussion up to this point, the Amelia and Felt camps were of one mind. It was time for both sides to open up to each other. Thus, Purge urged Ramji. In response to Petra's request, Ramji patted his bald head and said, "What I'm gonna tell you is gonna sound pretty outlandish and insane. I didn't keep it a secret because I wanted to seem important or nothing, but because it's so unbelievable."
It's okay. I believe you, Ram Oji-san. I'm sure Ram Oji-san would be surprised if he knew. Seriously.
You're also quite the peculiar girl, ain't you, Petra? Perhaps making it for lip service, Ramji lowered his eyebrows and muttered in exasperation. But there were no lies in Petra's words. Petra trusted Ramji. She knew that he cared deeply for Felt, who had been taken hostage by Al and his accomplices, and that he was a man of fatherly love who would show no hesitation to sacrifice his life for Felt. For that reason, the hurdle of trust about which Ramji was concerned was cleared at the onset. Unaware of Petra's various circumstances, while paying heed to Amelia and Rem, who even now were still reconciling their perceptions of each other, Ramji said, "This is something I'll tell Amelia and the others later, but this Aldebaran guy, he's likely using some kind of cheat technique called an authority." An authority. Subaru reacted to Ramji's carefully chosen words before Petra could. Subaru ceased his twirling in midair. And, oh, that must be like a cool visual, just like Subaru just chilling, floating around and shit. Ceased his twirling in midair, and his face stiffened. His gaze fixed intently upon Ramji. The imaginary Subaru's reaction was understandable. They had just heard it from Klein's mouth, but both Petra and Subaru were familiar with the word authority and its more sinister significance. It was a word that had been uttered by the Sin Archbishop of Sloth and by the Witch of Greed who slumbered in her tomb. The manifestation of a formidable right which allowed one to interfere with the nature of this world, to overturn concepts, to selfishly paint over those laws. The reason Ramji concluded that Al utilized one was because this guy, he seemed like he's able to go. This guy, it seems like he's able to go back to time gone by, but it don't seem to go very far back. In the end, just what was it that she absolutely needed to do? That problem, which had accompanied her endlessly,
since the days she had been small and weak, continued to familiarly hunt Felt. Even now, she had been taken by the Aldebaran crew. Damn it, they're diabolical for switching it up like that. Damn it. Don't forget, if you guys are enjoying the reading so far, leave a like and share it with all your homies that you think would enjoy listening to me read some ReZero and who likes my personality. God, that water is great. Jeez, it's so damn irritating. Scratching her head at that frustration, Felt spat out the bitterness that had been festering in her stomach. Feelings of powerlessness and resignation, albeit definite, were of no use. This felt new. Despite that, despite neither quenching her throat nor filling her belly, they would seek to fill up people's bodies, welling up by every means just to get in the way. Oh, it's the Zotabugs. With a click of her tongue, Felt sunk her teeth into the dried meat served to her for dinner, chewing it apart. Finding herself clearly unsatisfied with the overly salty flavor, she was disgusted with how spoiled she had become. It had been a mere 2.5 days since they had parted, yet she longed for the cooking from Flam and Graces. Even the heavily seasoned, manly meals that Ezo, Rachins, and the rest would sometimes bring to the table were far preferable to these portable dishes. Flam and Grasses would get mad at her if she made Reinhardt cook, as it was a task below his station, so she did not make him do so. But when Felt had to make sweets in secret, he was not he was not what the fuck? He was not bad at all. Okay, what the hell? Unfortunately, Felt and Ramji's culinary skills were so horrendous that she was amazed she had not died of food poisoning in the over 10 years she had spent in the loot house. That was likely the source of Felt's meager growth when compared to others of the same age. You know, that makes sense. Actually, yeah, because like at the start she was around like 14, which she should have been like around the same, not bustiness, that's the wrong word, like thickness, like as like Rem and Ram to a degree. Yeah, to some degree. Regardless of the culinary circumstances of her camp. I can't cook or nothing. So then, what can I do? Licking a grain of salt off her fingertip, Felt narrowed her eyes, her thoughts returning to the initial problem. At present, the Aldebaran crew was moving from place to place, with Aldebaran and the Divine Dragon endeavoring to recover from their exhaustion incurred from the royal capital. Initially, Felt assumed that Aldebaran and his accomplices would make straight for their objective, the Grand Mogulade Geyser, after fleeing the royal capital. But it seemed as if it was not simply a matter of reaching their destination. An element of grasping the right time was involved as well. However, those breaths of respite while waiting for that time were far from ideal. They had been met with a relentless sabotage of a callous pursuer. Otto Sewer. It's not just talking with bugs, it's an outrageously terrifying divine protection. Or rather, what's terrifying is probably not the divine protection, but Zotabug Nichan himself. Otto possessed a quite an ignorant face. But the true nature seemed to be that of an individual warranting extreme caution. Ultimately, every divine protection served as nothing more than just another tool. No matter how fine a sword one held, if they were not equipped with the strength to swing it, the ambition and opportunity to learn how to wield it, and the courage to brandish blade when the time came,
then the sword would merely be a fine decoration. Otto had the strength, the opportunity, the ambition, and the courage. Thus, Belt would have no choice but to prove that she too possessed those things, swordless as she was.
That Nichan's going all out on the offensive, plotting some damn nasty stuff.
With the divine protection of the soul of language, Otto had allied with bugs, birds, and fish, without allowing the Aldebaran crew to even a moment of tranquility. He was constantly forcing them to counter. The buzzing of insects and the distant howling of beasts, the pollution of water and contamination of food supplies, his methods of attack were diverse. Since they were unable to secure any sleeping hours, Belt, being dragged along with him, was also experiencing a headache. But getting caught in the crossfire like this was something Felt could discount as trivial damage. If possible, Felt would make use of her position, accompanying the enemy to mercilessly contribute to Otto's tactic.
I thought there'd have been plenty enough meaning in serving to suppress the divine dragon, but
that alone would not suffice. She had understood that through the battle between Divine Dragon and Sword Demon at the royal capital, even if Felt's presence curtailed the Divine Dragon's power by 10%, the remaining 90% was still enough to display catastrophic power. That was the true worth of the Divine Dragon Volcanica. Considering the possibility that from here forward, Ramji would seek a rematch against Aldebaran's party after his initial defeat, her current state was lacking. At present, that was the problem that the captured Felt ought to face.
No, I guess there's also one more.
I feel like I gotta sneeze. Okay, never mind. Muttering so, Belt turned her eyes toward the other problem visible from her position. To her fore, across the cackling bonfire, a man sat facing Belt. No, he could not be described as facing her, after all. His face was downcast, with nary a glance in her direction. Clutching a sheathed sword to his chest, silently cowering as if he were deceased. The red-haired man radiated a sense of vexation in every direction. Heinkel. Left alone at the entrance of a cave naturally formed in a rocky wall, Belt and Heinkel were spending a dismal time together, waiting for the ones who had gone to ascertain the safety of the surroundings and remove obstacles. For the time being, Heinkel was supposed to be in charge of supervising Belt, but based on the ratio of who was looking at who, it would have not been possible to tell exactly who the supervisor was. The manner of rejecting the outside world, to the point of neither touching his dinner of dried meat nor putting water to his lips, thoroughly rubbed Felt the wrong way. Belt had declared that she had no ruler or good. Belt had declared that she had no ruler of good or bad with which to measure Heinkel's actions. There was no falsehood in that, and she would not alter her view, but she did have a ruler of liking and disliking to measure with. At the very least, his demeanor befitting a hollow despite yet living was something she absolutely hated.
Oi! If you aren't gonna eat, pass me that dried meat. You can hear me, yeah? Don't ignore. Whoa there!
Albeit her initial belligerence, the dried meat she had used to broach a conversation was thrown at her as if to shut her up. She hastened to pick it up, but Heinkel cast nary a glance in her direction. In that instant, thinking it foolish to unclench her fists, Belt called out a "Oi!" once more.
So, why the hell did you interfere back there?
Straight to the point. Belt boldly cut straight to the source of Heinkel's cowering. Heinkel kept his silence. However, given that he had flung the dried meat at her,
he had not completely cut himself off from the outside world. Seizing on that, Felt lightly exhaled. Your old man. How should I call him? The fight between Reinhardt's grandfather and the Divine Dragon. I'm not really a warrior or anything like that, so I don't know the specifics of who was superior in that battle and stuff, but you're supposed to be the Divine Dragon's ally, yeah? For you to have interfered there meant that things were looking bad for the Divine Dragon. That's an outrageous prospect, but there's also something strange about it. If your objective is the dragon's blood, then that grandpa being on the verge of victory ought to have been the perfect opportunity. Even though you might have gotten your hands on the blood if the dragon died, you got in the way. Why is that? Using the other party's lack of objection to make her point, Felt bluntly lined up her words. As she had said, Heinkel's interference with the battle between Divine Dragon and Sword Saint was exceedingly unnatural when considering his goal. There was also a possibility that he had acted on impulse of a strong grudge toward his father. But before flying off with the Divine Dragon, Heinkel had requested the dragon to aptly apply healing on Wilhelm, who he had stabbed. In other words, Heinkel had wished for neither Divine Dragon nor Sword Saint to die during that battle. It's way too incoherent. Just what exactly are you? Or just what exactly are you thinking? It had been the moment she was about to continue her words, immediately pinned down to the hard ground. An unsheathed blade was fastened to Felt's neck. You talk too much, brat. Right before her eyes, the bloodshot blue eyes of Heinkel were present. Perhaps because he had bitten the inside of his mouth. His breath doused her in His breaths doused her in a reek of blood, causing Felt to grimace. While she did so, Heinkel continued to slide the blade as if to intimidate Felt. If you don't want to feel the pain, then don't say any such unnecessary. Though an opening in the threat, Felt drove her fist forward without hesitation, straight into Heinkel's nose. Heinkel exclaimed rather than pain. It was the reality of having been hit that surprised him. As he stood up with the momentum, a kick to the chest sent him crashing onto his backside, and Felt looked down upon him. There's no way I'd be scared of you at this point. Saying that, Felt picked up Heinkel's sword, which had fallen beside her. For a moment, Heinkel's body tensed, but Felt heaved a sigh and tossed the sword back to her. Heinkel snatched up the sword, eyes widening, but Felt just shrugged her shoulders in response. It might have seemed a mystery why she had returned the sword, but from Felt's perspective, it was the natural decision. Even if Felt were ballistic here, she could not beat Heinkel, and on the off chance that Heinkel thoughtlessly tried to cut Felt down, it was clear that Ye would be overjoyed. To begin with, the moment Felt and Heinkel had been left alone together, Ye's aims were made obvious. If possible, Ye wished to discard both Felt and Heinkel. Resorting to violence here was unideal, as it would only have been playing right into her hands. Even without such reasoning, there was also the fact that it was not Felt's role to beat up Heinkel. Then you'd think it'd be Reinhardt's role. But I think that also doesn't seem right. As Reinhardt's name came up, Heinkel was once again greatly tubed. So far, a lot of yapping, but like good chapter so far. Bro, I keep forgot that Gluttony was there. I like just glanced down. I was like, oh shit, Gluttony. For a man over double Felt's age to be cowering in fear over very word and action was absurdly unsightly. However, Felt wanted to uncover the reason behind that unsightliness. Even if that would deliver a terrible bitter flavor to Felt, she wished to know. Same as before. You don't gotta answer anything. I'll speak on my own, and infer on my own. Wiping the hem of her clothes, dirtied from being pinned down, Felt waited not for the other party's response, and looked to the sky. Within the night sky, visible through a fissure in the rocky wall, countless stars shone aglow with a brightness that did not belong. Glaring at the ironic beauty in that sky, Felt broached as a matter of fact.
Oui. Ciao batte, chat. Ah. Okay.
What bothered me about that battle between the Divine Dragon and that grandpa was everything I said before. Even though you want the dragon's blood, the actions you took don't seem to add up. And so, there's one other thing that with you that doesn't seem to add up either. It's gluttony. Let's ignore the fact that that bastard's got the absolute worst personality, and that he never ever stops talking. Even without that, he's a good-for-nothing Sin Archbishop, and there's no way he'd ever be welcome. But when it comes to reasons to hate the bastard, you ought to have way more reason than I do, yeah? Hushed, Heinkel gave no answer, but his breath caught upon hearing that question. Even if he did not respond with words, Heinkel's reaction was far too easy to read, and thus Felt narrowed her eyes. Released from the prison tower, Roy Alfart was being made to accompany them by Aldebaran as a necessity for his plan. There were endless reasons to hate, to detest the Sin Archbishops who brought forth many a tragedy, but Heinkel ought to have.
Excuse me, chat. No, that chicken kind of like made me, let me take one more sip. Wait.
But Heinkel ought to have had more a precise, definite reason for enmity. After all, the woman who was Reinhardt's mother, who was Heinkel's wife, the affliction of her ever-slumbering Luana Astria bore a striking resemblance to that of the victims of gluttony. I said it once before, but I know about Reinhardt's family circumstances. That your wife's been sleeping for over 10 years, and that you can't find a way to wake her up. Well, that might be resolved once you receive the dragon's blood, but how are you gonna settle the score? How are you gonna settle the score with the fuckface who put your wife to sleep for over 10 years? Through the assault of Duchess Cruz Carson and the battle at the Watergate City Prostella, the damage occurred by the authority of gluttony had been made clear. Sleeping beauties, tragic beings whose ties had all been severed, discovered in a state of unawakening sleep, with nobody around aware of their existence. It was uncovered that such individuals were none other than victims of the witch cult. Of course, that also ought to have reached the ears of Heinkel. Nonetheless, not once had Heinkel displayed any interest in gluttony. He could have been the cause for his wife's slumber. Was it because his utmost priority was to acquire the dragon's blood and awaken his wife? Was the impact of stabbing his own father, bathing in his blood, simply all too much? Or perhaps... If you seriously are just completely disregarding the bastard, then why? Wait, what are... You don't need to respond. I told you, didn't I? I'll speak on my own, and infer on my own. His grip on the sword quivering, with an expression deathly pale, Heinkel did not look at Felt. The gaze of the eyes Estrella blue clashed with her own of red. That of her own red, and Felt was convinced. Deep within Heinkel, man, my eyes keep doing like some weird shit. Probably just like staring at the damn screen all day. Deep within Heinkel's eyes were terribly indefinite, yet ultimately unperishing embers. Like they were the very heat of the same ilk as which dwelled in those of Ramji whenever he gazed upon Felt. Appearing to be... Got one. Yes, you fucking bitch. Damn it, and then another one comes. Toxic. Appearing to be a despicable man, self-centered, selfish, self-destructive, of wavering heart whilst being ignorant of his own capabilities, and being all help, was Heinkel Astrea. If concealed deep within, visible through only the slightest of gaps, was the heat ever present in this man's every action. That would mean the reason you don't even bother to look at gluttony is because you know there's no connection between your wife falling asleep in gluttony. You know it's incorrect, so you don't turn your sword on her. But Luana Astrea's affliction of Sleeping Beauty was definitely different to that of the Sleeping Beauties. Unlike the Sleeping Beauties, whose every tie in this world served. Oh yeah, because if she did have Rem's affliction, then she would have no name and no one would remember her. But they all know. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Okay, you're getting me. You're getting me. Okay. I wasn't really like thinking about that initially, but now that they say it, it's like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Unlike the Sleeping Beauties, whose every tie to this world in the world was severed, Luana was remembered by Reinhardt, by Heinkel, by all who were acquainted with her, and her slumber they all did lament. In other words, it was different. Luana Astrea was no victim of gluttony. Then why Heinkel knew the truth of the matter, he had not shared it with anyone else. Why was that? Because he could not afford for any to know the cause of Luana's slumber. The cause was Reinhardt. How? Okay, I'm interested. A pair of motionless, widened eyes, a voiceless countenance, a husky breath void of vitality, all of which became an answer more eloquent than words, lending credence to Felt's conviction. That which she absolutely needed to do. Finding that out was Felt's current problem. By her resolve and conviction to face that problem, she arrived at the terribly bitter truth, and that was, so the one who put Reinhardt's mother to sleep was Reinhardt himself? Speaking in Valakia, and before she fell asleep, one very noticeable indication is that she's between using her name, Watashi, and pronoun, using Valakia, to be shown in translation as with I, me, or in Rem. I should use it. Going forward, we will not be pointing this out every time it happens, since it would likely occur. Okay. Okay. What? Why is the ReZero story is getting worse after Arc 6? Arc 9 showed some promise in the start, but now things are again becoming more and more dumb, and now can Wilhelm fight Volcanica one-on-one? It makes no sense at all. Volcanica should be the strongest existence after Reinhardt. So now
although I get where they're coming from with the like the whole Wilhelm just being fucking goated. I do not think that it is that over the top to see that Wilhelm can box with Alcanica, because first of all, like, Wilhelm is disgustingly strong. He's always been really fucking strong. And yeah, sure, they were fighting in like a very cooked area and they couldn't fully go all out, but and then again, like, Wilhelm was a little bit weakened, but this man doesn't stop training, bro. Like, he, as far as like swordsmen in the royal capital, I would imagine that he's like top 3, top 5, like easy. And yeah, he's getting older and shit, but like, he's still strong. Well, what do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about Wilhelm being able to box with Volcanica? I don't think that it's that crazy, because first of all, Volcanica is greatly nerfed. Like, Volcanica, even though he's still like top in the verse or whatever, he's not at the same strength as he was when he was back in his heyday, I would assume, right? Like fighting Satella head on. Now, Wilhelm does have a lot of like feats and accolades. I just don't know the shit that he's done in the Willology, so I'll probably have to read that. Let me know if y'all like want to read it. But like, I don't necessarily agree with this. I don't think the series is getting worse at all. Like, honestly, Arc 6 was like peak, but I thoroughly enjoyed Arc 7. Had some of my favorite moments. Arc 8 was incredible. I really enjoyed. Dude, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Oh my god, dude. Like, and Arc 9 has been really fucking good so far. Like, I'd say it's top. I'd say it's an easy top like 3 or 4 right now for like my favorite arcs, even though it's not done. Yeah, and this like right here, like Volcanica, like in the 6th arc is like 1/10 of its full strength, and Volcanica 9 is like much weaker than Volcanica of Arc 6. Her Volcanica is just a transport and a source of mana for Owl. Like, yeah. And it's like Volcanica with Owl knowledge zone part of even surpasses Prime. And well, I mean, the only reason Wilhelm held that long is because they were in a city and Owl still followed like the no-kill rule. Right, true. Not to mention that Wilhelm also regained his former glory. The time that he could take down AR Kurg without taking seconds. Damn, wait, that happened. Oh my god, I gotta read that shit. Oh my god. Damn. True, yeah, like he wasn't like really landing, or like he was landing shit, but like he wasn't piercing the dragon husk. Yeah, I don't agree with like the original like poster, but yeah. So we're gonna read the beginning of the next part. Huh? Wait. 36? Okay. Now, all right. So, well, I guess since that was going to be the next chapter, I did already read that, so I'm going to post it. I'm going to post it for you guys. Let's see. This after. So we're on 36 right now. I think as far as what you guys know, there are. I posted up to like 30. Let me see. $32. Okay, so like as of right now of me recording chapter 36, 30 31 and 32 are scheduled to come out in the next couple days. So that gives you an idea for how far ahead I am. Like, I'd say, like, by the time you guys read one, like, I'm only posting one chapter a day, just so I have consistent shit for you guys to, like, look for every day when I'm not streaming. And yeah, so, like, what, today's Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. And what came out today? Oh yeah, so today chapter 29 and 30 came out. Like, that's what I uploaded. So I guess I'll have to post I'll post like the owl reveal after 30. Low key, I read it earlier, so like I should post it like after like 33. I might just post that shit, like I might post that on, let's see, today's Tuesday, Friday. I might post that on like Saturday. I digress. We have a lot of content, my guys. Like, I've been bulk reading or bulk recording, so there's quite a lot of content for you guys, like, that is coming out. So just expect that until we get caught up, all of the chapters are going to be coming out every single day until we get caught up. So look forward to that. Anyway, so we're going to take a little sneaky peeky at Mindset. Arc 9, chapter 37. We're just going to read the beginning, and then we're going to stop. Okay.
Subaru-sama and Beatrice-sama have fallen into the hands of the man calling himself Aldebaran. Bitter regret. Currently, countermeasures are being taken to deal with that person, and Amelia-sama taking charge. Report. Indeed, after receiving Klein's report, which arrived using the authority of melancholy, Roswell found himself shaken by the gap between his rational acceptance of what had happened and the difficulty of accepting it emotionally. Their location was the Barriel Mansion, the estate that Priscilla Barriel inherited from her late husband, Leet Barriel, and which had become masterless once more after her death. Currently, Roswell, accompanied by Priscilla's servant Schultz, was visiting this place after being separated from Amelia and the others. Klein appeared and brought the report to a room in the mansion. Frankly speaking, Roswell was not at all delighted with Subaru's suggestion to take the grieving owl to the Pleiades watchtower. I wonder how much Roswell knows about Owl. It required a protracted amount of time to find and secure Subaru, who had been transported to It required a protracted amount of time to find and secure Subaru, who had been transported to the Valakian Empire. Rem had also been transported there, but Roswell did not indulge in self-deception. Roswell's goal was to bring Subaru back, and Rem's safety was secondary. Well, of course. Of course, everyone in the camp was happy that Rem had returned, but they could not be optimistic considering that the time that had been squandered. They had to start working immediately to make up for the delay in the necessary measures to be taken for the royal selection. It was just then that Subaru came to consult with them about going to the Pleiades watchtower. What should be given top priority? Roswell tried to persuade Subaru from such a perspective, but he was unable to change his mind, and in the end, Subaru's proposal was approved. All right, my boys. This has been your boy Zero, aka Black Natsuki Subaru. If you guys enjoyed this, leave a like. Don't forget to share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well so you can stay updated on when I make videos, content, go live, and all of the juicy, good, crazy shit. So, gonna catch y'all in the next one. This shit's hype. Till next time, peace.